Hello, I'm Neil Cole from Starling Initiatives, and I've been talking a lot lately about shifting the values that we have as a people of God in the world. And today I'd like to talk about why that's important. Why are values important? When we value something that's unimportant, we invest in that, we measure that, and we practice at that. And as a result, we do not invest, we do not practice, and we do not measure the things that are actually important. Imagine, if you will, an American football team. And after they score a touchdown, the player does a dance in the end zone, and the audience loves it, and they cheer. And then it's posted on Sports Center, this jig that he does in the end zone. And soon the whole team begins to think that celebrating in the end zone is what's really valuable. So they begin to practice how they celebrate in the end zone, and they no longer practice running, hitting, throwing, catching, kicking, blocking, strategy, offense, defense. Instead, all they practice is backflips and rhythm and dancing and doing little skits with one another in the end zone to celebrate a touchdown that they never score. They ignore the opponent, they ignore the rule books, they only complain about unimportant things to the referees, and soon they begin to recruit players that are better at backflips and have better rhythm than others, and players who can bounce the ball higher when they spike it on the ground than others. And their whole team is oriented towards one thing, celebrating in the end zone. And they don't measure yards gained or passes completed or interceptions or tackles or sacks. They don't measure any of those things. They only measure the things about how high the ball bounces when you spike it, how many backflips you can do. This would be outrageous. It would be ridiculous. But I think that's what church is like. We have made so much out of celebrating on Sunday in the worship service that we have no longer been measuring, valuing, investing, and practicing the things that score touchdowns out on the mission field. We need to get back to valuing what's important. Values are like the feathers on an arrow. When you shoot the arrow, the feathers make the arrow go straight toward the target you're aiming at. If you don't have those values, the arrow can go anywhere and cause all kinds of damage, and you have no control over it. And in a sense, we've lost sight of our target because our values have been askew. What you value, you measure. And what we measure is attendance, and what we measure is offerings. We don't measure the things that really score touchdowns out on the field. What you value, you invest your resources in. And we invest a ton of resources in salaries for people who preach sermons and sing songs and do children's work on Sunday morning. That's what we value. And we invest in buildings where we can gather on Sunday morning. And what you value, you practice. You put time in doing it better and better as you go. And what do we practice? We practice better sermons. We practice better music. We practice better childcare. We spend all of our time and energy celebrating in the end zone and never scoring any touchdowns. This is a problem. And this is why I'm talking about values so much. So let me rehash once again the shift in values I think we need to see. We need to value His kingdom over our church. 2, we need to value following over believing. 3, we need to value learning over teaching. 4, we need to value loving over being right. 5, we need to value giving over getting. 6, we need to value the fruit of the Spirit over the gifts of the Spirit. And 7th, we need to value Renaissance over Reformation. These are the shifts in values. I think that if we make these shifts, we will begin to launch and rebirth a new movement of faith in Jesus in this world that is not bound by the four walls of an ecclesiological structure. Now, what does God actually value? What is He looking for from us? Well, you don't have to go far to find that. This is from Matthew. This is Jesus' own words from Matthew chapter 25. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I was in prison, and you came and visited me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?" And the king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did to one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did unto me." These are the things that Jesus wants us to measure, invest in, and practice. And they don't take place on Sunday morning. None of the one another commandments in the New Testament that we are to do for each other, can you even do sitting in pews staring at the back of someone's head on a Sunday morning between the hours of 10 and noon. Now, does the Bible tell us to gather on Sundays and sing songs and hear a sermon? No, nowhere in the New Testament does it tell us to do that. Is it wrong for us to gather together, sing songs and worship, hear a sermon? Absolutely not. It's not wrong, but it's not the main thing. We should celebrate after we score a touchdown. That should be what's important. Not the celebration. The celebration should be natural after we do accomplish things that are important. We need a faith that is evident and working in the world, not just the worship center. We need to measure what happens on the streets, not just in the seats. We need to be more concerned with our place in the marketplace than in the meeting place. These are why I talk about a shift in values. Now, if you like these videos, please go to my YouTube channel and like them and subscribe on my video channel to hear more. We have a new website, starlinginitiatives.com. All of our resources will be available there. Listen to Jesus and do what he says.